And we're going to talk about the transformational resilience using women's protection as an entry point in protected crisis context. Lived experience from the Arab region. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and thanks to Sally from Concern. I think it's a really happy coincidence that we've got quite a complimentary slot here for what was just spoken about. So my name is Becky Murphy, and I am the Global Resilience Advisor for ActionAid International. And the idea that we'd like to share with you today is using women's protection as a really powerful entry point for building transformational resilience and disaster risk reduction in protracted crises contexts. So both conflict but also ongoing natural hazard contexts as well. We're going to go straight into an example that we've been working on with our Arab region. We've taken learning from across ActionAid International's work, so from our countries in the DRC, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Bangladesh, but then we've really tried to apply it to our work in Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine. So I think it's more powerful to actually hear from our team. So I'm going to hand over to Hadia from ActionAid Lebanon, and hopefully, if the technology allows, we'll be seeing a video from Ufron, one of our Syrian refugees who's based in Lebanon and was supposed to be here to share with you her story, but unfortunately didn't get the visa, but we've got a nice video to share with you of her experience. So Hadia.
Thank you, Becky. Morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. We're going to start first by identifying the difference between a normal crisis and what is a protracted crisis. What are the characteristics that a protracted crisis have? Next, please. Oh, okay. Yeah, the green one. Okay. So the protracted crisis that we are dealing with here are the Syrian crisis in Lebanon that has been going since March 2012, and the Palestinian Israeli occupation that marked 71 years 2 days ago. So a protracted crisis is normally a long-term in nature crisis, which is more than 5 years. They happen normally in a context of poor governance or weak state. People often experience disrupted livelihood and food security, of course, due to the displacement. So they experience high and often increasing levels of poverty because of the disrupted livelihood and food security, and normally because they go to kind of poor areas as well. So this leads to increasing their poverty levels. There is uncertainty of the future, and people experience volatility and an uncertainty of future, not because of that they don't know what's going to happen for them after this end or when it's going to end, but also after they go back. For example, in the Syrian case, after 8 years, how they are going to adapt again in the Syrian community when they were disconnected from their communities for this long. They face disrupted social norms because they've been living for so long in other areas, and they are adapting to new norms and traditions. People rely largely on informal economy like assistance and aid, and of course there is a huge presence of international organizations. So now we're going to move. I want you to keep those characteristics in your mind while we are watching Ghufran's video. Ghufran is one of our strong women leaders in our community center in Bekaa. Unfortunately, she couldn't get the visa to come and share her story, but we will hear more about her experience in our safe spaces in Lebanon. The safe spaces gives opportunity for women to come together in forms of circles. Each circle is formed of 20 women, mixed, hosting from different nationalities and different backgrounds. You can find Syrians, Lebanese, Palestinians from Lebanon, Palestinians from Syria, different nationalities from all backgrounds. They come together in the community center and they do a lot of activities like PSS, awareness sessions, capacity building, economic empowerment, and a lot more that we are going to hear now directly from Ghufran.
اسمي غفران الشايب، عمري 25. جيت على لبنان من 7 سنين تقريبا. جينا نتيجة الأزمة والحرب، نتيجة الضغوطات اللي كنا عايشين فيها واللي كنا عم نواجهها. واجهنا كتير صعوبة لحتى جينا لهون. كان في صعوبة بالطرقات لحتى نعبرها، صعوبة بعبور الحدود، إن كان في كتير تشديد على إنه السوري يجتاز الحدود اللبنانية وإنه يستقر هناك ويكون لاجئ، وبعدين صرنا.
طيب من بعد ما صرتوا بلبنان شو التحديات اللي واجهتيها؟
هلا أكيد أي حدا بيطلع لبلد تاني رح يواجه كتير فروقات بين مجتمعه اللي كان عايش فيه والمجتمع الجديد اللي هو عم يبلش يتأقلم معه. فكان كتير في فروقات بالعادات والتقاليد، بطريقة المعيشة. كان في غلاء بالأسعار، غلاء بأجارات البيوت. هاي التحديات كتير كانت صعبة علينا لحتى قدرنا نتأقلم شوي مع المجتمع اللي نحن قاعدين معه.
طيب فيك تخبرينا كيف انضميتي للجمعية، كيف وصلتي لهون، وشو التغيرات اللي طرقت على حياتك من بعد ما انضميتي للجمعية ActionAid؟
هلا أول شيء كان في مشروع بActionAid وكانوا عم يعملوا استقطاب للأشخاص. فكان في صبية بتشتغل هون، كانت عم تعمل زيارات ميدانية على المنازل وإجت لعندي. فكانت عم تخبرني عن المشروع وإنه بدهم صبايا يتطوعوا معهم، وشرحت لي عن ActionAid وإنه شو أهدافها. ومن وقتها من 5 سنين تقريبا انتسبت للجمعية وصرت متطوعة فيها. التغيرات شاركت بعدة تدريبات. التدريبات كانت بتشتغل كتير على القيادة وعلى زيادة القوة بالنفس والقصص هاي. الشيء اللي تغير فيه إنه طلعت شوي من الجو اللي أنا فيه. قدرت أكثر إني اندمج مع المجتمع اللبناني. قدرت أتواصل مع العالم، أتعرف على ناس أكثر. في أقول كمان إنه أكثر الأشخاص اللي كانت منتسبة لهي الجمعية وأنا منهم، إن صار في مورد خاص لإلها. في كتير مهارات اكتسبناها وخبرات اكتسبناها خلال ال5 سنين اللي نحن فيه بActionAid.
شو أنواع المشاريع اللي اشتركتي فيها بActionAid؟
أول مشروع أول تدريب شاركت فيه هو القوة والقيادة المجتمعية. بس أول مشروع شاركت فيه هو كانوا عاملين مشاريع صغيرة، منح صغيرة. فقدمت على هذا المشروع. كان أول شيء يعني ما كان عندي أي فكرة عن هاي المواضيع. فكتير الأشخاص اللي حوالي والمتطوعين إنه حاولوا يعززوا هاي الفكرة عندي ويشجعوني أكتر. قدمت على مشروع خياطة وكان كتير ناجح، أخذته. كان كتير ناجح وكتير كان حلو، كتير كانت تأثيراته الإيجابية على المجتمع كتير حلوة. وبعد منه شاركت بمشروع تاني هو الريزيليانس. هو ميسرات، تيسير لجلسات للأشخاص الموجودين بالمجتمع المحلي. كانوا من المجتمع المضيف والمستضاف. واشتغلنا على عدة قصص ضمن هذا المشروع وردينا بس خلص هذا المشروع بلشنا بمشروع تاني سيف سبيس 1. كمان كثير كان قريب منه، كان بيشتغل مع النساء أكثر، يعني مركز على النساء أكثر.
طيب غفران، أنت كيف توصفي وضعك الحالي؟
هلا أكيد في تغيرات كثير ما بين وقت اجيت وما بين هلا. مثلا هلا قادرة أكثر إني أتواصل مع المجتمع، في ناس كثير بعرفهم. مثلا المشروع التمكين اللي أخذته صرت شوي مستقلة أكثر بالمورد المالي تبعي. الجمعيات المحلية اللي تعرفنا عليها، تعرفنا إنه شو الخدمات اللي بتقدمها. قبل ما كنت أعرف إنه في جمعيات أساساً، ما كنت بعرف إنه في خدمات بتقدمها لتسهل شوي علينا بحياتنا. فصرت قادرة أكثر إني أكون على دراية أكثر بالخدمات اللي هي عم بتقدمها، ممكن نساعد الأشخاص اللي حوالينا إنه أي شيء بيحتاجوا إنه نحيلهم لهي الجمعية. وآخر شيء المستقبل المجهول. نحن كتير متخوفين من هاي الفكرة إنه لأيمت نحن قاعدين هون، إنه في شيء مجهول مخبى ما بنعرف إنه لوين رح نوصل.
So this was Ghufran from Bekaa. She's a Syrian refugee who participated in the activities of the community center, ActionAid's community center and women safe space in Bekaa. If you want to see the video or you want to have a copy and see it later, of course we can share it with you. So from our work with the displaced and the hosting and hosted communities both in Syria, Lebanon, Palestine and other countries like DRC, Kenya, Nigeria and Bangladesh, we have several recommendations that we come to know through our experience in this work. In our work, as Becky mentioned, that we are using protection as an entry point for resilience, because for our case, the Syrian crisis, women have a special situation where they mostly rely on their families. They are mostly dependent on their families, and they have very limited opportunities. So coming to Lebanon was of course they has disrupted norms, but it was also an opportunity for them. So in the community centers and the women's safe space, we are trying to help them to grab this opportunity and to increase their skills so they are more open to the community and they are more independent. And of course, you know what comes with displacement from early marriage issues, protection issues like GBV, early marriage and others. So that's why protection is our main entry to resilience. We put local women leaders in place. As you saw, Ghufran and other women are the leaders of this safe space. They conduct assessments, they identify the priorities, they put the plan, they implement, they follow up, they do everything from A to Z based on their experiences and their needs. And that's why we need to be flexible in our programming, because those priorities might change at any moment based on the woman. So that's why we need to be very flexible in our program and in our activities, so we are really covering their needs. We build on existing local capacities. We know they are coming with tremendous skills that we can really invest in many ways. For example, the vocational trainings, the trainings that we do, they have amazing skills, and this is our long-term investment as well when they go back to Syria. We strengthen access and understanding of information. What is the risk that they are facing? What are the services provided? Who are the service providers? What are the complaint mechanisms that are in place? How they can get information that can make their life easier? And of course, we are guided by do no harm principle. We try as much as possible to address root causes of vulnerability. In some cases we cannot, because it's related to laws. For example, the documentation issue, it's something related to the government. But in most of the cases we try to tackle the root causes of vulnerability through taking the human right-based approach. And finally, we work on strengthening social cohesion, particularly between refugees and hosting communities, because there is a scarcity of resources that might lead to conflict-based resources-based conflict. So that's why we need to strengthen a lot on diffusing the tension and work a lot on the social cohesion between the hosting and hosted communities. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Yes, we have a question.
Thanks. Really interesting. I'd like to know a little bit more about the challenges that you've had in implementing this project and how you've overcome them to enable the women to participate.
In the beginning we had a lot of challenges. And sometimes it took us some effort to convince women that this is a space for you. You can do whatever you want in it. We don't have any agendas. It's just your place, because they have in many cases they have bad experiences with organizations or aid providers. So this is one of the challenges. Also, their norms and traditions, because women are not normally allowed to go out and to be open to society, to mix with other men, to have this freedom. So this was also challenging for Syrians mainly, and this is one of the things that we are really proud of, the big change and the huge amount of success stories that we were able to do. For example, we have one of the cases that the first time she went out of her house was after 5 years she came to Lebanon, and she came to our safe space, and she's now one of our community leaders.
Thank you. I'm Abu Bakr from the Red Cross. How do you manage their accessibility to market their product? After having the skills, after giving them fund, then how do they now access the market? How do they sell their products? Thank you.
For the economic empowerment project and the social entrepreneurships that we do a lot of planning with them regarding the market. So the idea basically is also planned based on the market that we have. For example, one of the projects, so it depends on the need of the community. For example, we have a sewing, like Ghufran's example, she was talking about a sewing project. Okay, so she opened the classes with her mother for women-headed households, and they teach other women, so they respond to the needs of the community. So it's not basically it shouldn't be a product. It might be a skill that is needed by the community.
So we have one more, please.
Thank you so much. How are you working on building social cohesion between the refugees and host communities?
So in our women's circles, it's always mixed groups. You know, I don't know if you know that there is history between Lebanon and Syria, so it's not really easy to bring the two people together. But through our experience in the circles, bringing them together, making them talk about their problems, creating the connections about their situations, and trying to exchange experiences so they put themselves in the other women's shoe, it really helps to diffuse the tension and increase the social cohesion. Plus, when we are planning any initiative, we make sure that the problems that are tackled are something important for both refugees and hosting communities, so they are both benefiting from it and they are both helping others to solve their problems.
Shukran Ilek. Thank you very much for your work. I have two questions for you. First, the target is the woman, and we know in refugees camps we have many thousands of women in Syria, in Jordan, in Lebanon. How many percentage of the women you reach for your program? 5% of the women in the camp. How much the number? I think your program is short and you need more support to reach more women and the refugees. The second question, Ghufran. Ghufran is, by the way, the name, or you choose the woman, the name Ghufran. Ghufran, you know, it's giftness.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. The name, you choose it by the way, or especially you choose this woman for this name? Thank you.
No, it was. This is her actual name, and it was totally coincidence that her name is Ghufran, which means forgiveness. But I didn't realize this before. Thank you for the note. So our target. So now for this program, we are targeting directly in the women circles in Lebanon. We are targeting around 500 women, young women and women. Of course, it's not. We are not able to reach out to everyone. There's still too much way to go, but we are also trying to create a model that can be replicated by other service providers and aid organizations in Lebanon and Jordan.
Okay, thank you.